The Isaiah Factor Uncensored starts right now.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. Before we get started, congratulations to the Astros. That's why I have my orange on tonight. Well, it's trending. Dave Chappelle's latest and final stand-up special called The Closer on Netflix. He is again under fire from the LGBTQ community. Some Netflix employees are quitting over it, begging the company to pull Chappelle's special from the air. It's all because of what Chappelle said about the LGBT community. Now, he doesn't hate members of the LGBT community, but some say his jokes may say otherwise. We pulled a few clips to take a look for you. Take a look.
You know, a lot of the LGBTQ community doesn't know the baby's history. He's a wild guy. He once shot a and killed him in Walmart. Oh, this is true. Google it. The baby shot and killed a in Walmart in North Carolina. Nothing bad happened to his career. In our country, you can shoot and kill a but you better not hurt a gay person's feelings. Gender is a fact. This is a fact. Every human being in this room, every human being on earth had to pass through the legs of a woman to be on earth. That is a fact. Now, I am not saying that to say that trans women aren't women. I am just saying that those that they got, you know what I mean?
And our guests are here on The Factor Uncensored tonight to talk about Dave Chappelle's controversial Netflix special. And I'm sure you've seen it by now. Already we have several organizations demanding that Netflix pulls this special, GLAAD, along with the National Black Justice Coalition. So Rodney Bingham, let's begin with you, a comedian. When you heard what Dave Chappelle had to say in this Netflix special that offended members of the LGBTQ plus community, your thoughts on that? Did he go too far?
Where is too far? Where is too far? I mean, the gay community wants everybody to recognize them and to respect them, but then they want to be out, but they want to be in, you know. And it's so many different levels to the gay community. Like, what's the difference between a trans and a cross-dresser? You don't know until you walk up and Donald Trump one of them, you know, and grab them, because hey, you're a man in a dress. I don't know what I would call you, a cross-dresser or a tranny. So a not see, that's the wrong word. But it's too sensitive, man. I mean, that don't mean you hate somebody because you don't understand their lifestyle or you don't live that lifestyle. You know what I mean? It don't make you, like he said, homophobic or whatever, because I have a lot of questions, and I've talked to a lot of gay people, and a lot of them tell me that they became gay for different reasons. Some say they were molested, so it makes you wonder, well, what make you gravitate to the life of abuse? You know, some say that they felt that way all their lives. I know some women that were abused by men who turned to women, just different reasons. So he's a comedian, he got a free will to speak. He should have free will.
Samaya, I saw you tilt your head a little bit, and I'm sure you have something to say about that.
I did. So I don't like that the LGBT community is being placed in a position where it is not Black. As a Black trans person myself, I am someone that believes that I have a place in the community. I should be able to show up and be honored by Black people. And I felt like this special kind of perpetuated some things, some narratives that make it very difficult to engage with family, friends, and loved ones when I'm just a person that's trying to show up in this space because I'm Black and trans, people assume that I'm showing up as and I'm trying to do something that is white. And I just think that that's problematic. And some of the things that you just said, brother, were very triggering. And I wish that people understood. It's not that we don't understand that there is a knowledge gap, but there's a way that you can handle it where there's grace and dignity for everyone involved. And even in comedy, there needs to be a grace extended and a grace given, right? Mm-hmm. So I do believe that it is reciprocal. And in this moment, the way that we're being handled in the cultural conversation is not graceful.
Now, Samaya, you said something very interesting a few sentences ago when you said you show up as Black and trans. Some believe you're trying to show up as white.
Yeah,
Okay, explain that to me.
Because there is a perception that being LGBT is something that was created by a Eurocentric ideal. There's this idea that there's a white gay agenda that I am participating in by being a Black trans woman. Because the people are believing that this is something that was created. People are believing that this is something that was created, you know, in the recent times, when we know that trans people have existed around the globe, even in Africa, since the beginning of time.
All right, Chris Patterson, when you hear this controversy about Dave Chappelle's Netflix special, did he go too far, in your opinion?
I don't think he himself went too far with most of it. I think there were some parts that were absolutely just too much. But I think what Dave Chappelle did was he gave people an excuse to let their hatred, let their homophobia, let their ignorance fly. So all the reaction I've been seeing online in a lot of Black spaces is nothing more than just people going all the way in on the trans community and just being ignorant as hell.
So it didn't bring a valuable conversation. It just brought, in your opinion, more hate.
No, yeah, it really did. I mean, he with his comments, he's a smart guy, but the people that listen, not everybody that listens to him is smart enough to understand him. And they think they're smart enough, but they're not. It really whipped the whole Boosie crowd into a tizzy to go out there and just perpetuate more ignorance and more hatred and make it seem like it's okay to be ignorant.
And for those who don't know the Boosie crowd, explain that.
The Boosie crowd is everyone that supports Lil Boosie, who has, you know, been on a campaign against the transgender community and against all the letters of the alphabet, essentially. You know, he's on the toxic masculinity BS where, you know, we need to raise men to be manly men and my son better not be gay and all that old school BS that's really harming the community. And when I say the community, I'm talking about the Black community, not the LGBT community. So, you know, it's a lot of hoteps, you know, false intellectuals just jumping on this bandwagon saying, yeah, that's right. Dave is out there telling the truth. He's out there. Yeah, these trans people like this. Like they're just jumping on the bandwagon, trying to co-sign on some stuff they don't 100% understand.
And do you think that Dave is spreading hate, or because his jokes are so deep and some of those don't get it, they just get the surface and they're running with it?
I think people are taking whatever parts of what he is saying to confirm their ignorance and their bias and running wild with it.
And of course, we're not done just yet. The other comedian on our panel gives their take on Chappelle's new special. We'll be back with more Factor Uncensored in just a moment. Stay with us. And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Dave Chappelle is being called transphobic and homophobic after another comedy special on Netflix. Is it just plain comedy or hate? We get back to our conversation tonight. Jamie, you're a comedian. Your thoughts on this?
You know, I think that there is a certain amount of room for license when it comes to comedy that you extend to a comedian. But I agree with you what your other guests have said. Basically, a lot of what he's doing is perpetuating certain stereotypes, you know, and making people feel like to be with someone who is trans would be a cringeworthy kind of thing, like the impossible, I'm not even going to finish saying the word, but like other references for our genitalia, you know, and what we may or may not have had done surgically. There were some lines that he crossed that he didn't have to because he's a comedy genius. You know, the man, he's brilliant. And he didn't need to go to some of the places that he went to get his point across.
Rodney, your thoughts on that he went too far?
First of all, like she said, Dave is a genius. I don't think Dave was really trying to be funny in this special. I think Dave was trying to do exactly what we're doing right now, getting everybody talking about Dave. Because that's what we're doing. And it's getting him more.
Talking about Dave, but not about the issue.
I mean, he never said he hated anybody. He didn't never say anybody should be killed for living their lifestyle. He was just telling these wacky stories and saying, you know, that this not all the way this and this not all the way, you know, and he just stirred up an ant pile. That's all he did with this special. Because I didn't laugh at it. Let's be honest. It wasn't funny. You know, you saw funny last night. You know what I'm saying? But it had its moments. And Dave is a genius. He's brilliant. But he was. I don't think he came out to try to be killer funny. He came out to I'm gonna close this. And you know, I want the council community to come after me because he don't care. He got paid what, $20 million for that, and so if they take it off, he'll just go around and charge people $200 a head to tell those same stories, and people are gonna come see him. So it's just almost like you gotta be so careful with what you say, because I don't want nobody to think that I hate anybody and be mad at me after this, because I don't. You know, you saw me last night. I don't do any gay jokes. It's not even necessary. There's so much other stuff you can talk about. But he came out and focused on that for what, 40 minutes of the hour is what he talked about mostly. And it's just, I think it was a ploy to get more attention.
Is it possible, Chris, to cancel someone like Dave Chappelle? Now, he said J.K. Rowling was canceled, but they tried to cancel him in 2019 when he did Sticks and Stones, and he won a Grammy and 2 Emmys for that special. Is it possible to cancel Dave Chappelle?
I honestly don't believe it's possible to cancel anyone who doesn't need money.
Samaya, your thoughts?
I also agree. I don't think that there's a way to really cancel Dave Chappelle, but I would like to take a moment to address what was just said by Rodney. I think that we are in a place where we have to be careful what we do with the platform that we're given. I think that Dave Chappelle is a man that does not necessarily have hate, but your intentions and your actions have to match, and you have to be okay with the consequences. And the consequences of some of that, well, some of the things that he's said and done have furthered a narrative that creates a divide when what we want is communication. There's been a lot of work done in community over years to bridge gap and to have conversation about this difficult issue. And as a comedian, I understand that he wants to do satire to discuss social commentary on issues and things. However, there is a point, and I think Dave even himself acknowledged that he's not sure if he's laughing at us or with us. And I think and as long as he follows what he said when he said, I won't talk about it anymore until I'm sure, I think if he follows that, I'll be happy, because I really don't think he should speak on this any longer until he is sure himself that we're in on the joke, because clearly he doesn't understand that line.
Intriguing conversation there ahead.